Treasure Island. My name is Jim Hawkins, and my story begins with the arrival of a gruff, old sea dog at my family's inn, the Admiral Benbow. He called himself the captain, but we all knew him as Billy Bones. He was a man haunted by his past, terrified of a seafaring man with one leg. He paid me to keep a lookout, and my days were filled with a nervous energy, watching the horizon for a threat I couldn't yet understand. One fateful day, a blind pirate named Pew delivered the Black Spot, a pirate summons. Hours later, the captain was dead on the floor, and his sea chest lay open before me and my mother. With the captain's enemies closing in, we fled the inn, taking only what we were owed and a strange oilskin packet from the bottom of the chest. Inside was not just a logbook, but a map, a detailed chart of an island marked with a red cross and the words, "Bulk of treasure here." I knew at once this was no ordinary map. It was a promise of unimaginable adventure and wealth, but also a beacon for the most dangerous men to ever sail the seas. I took the map to our local physician, the calm and steady Dr. Livesey. Dr. Livesey and the excitable Squire Trelawney were captivated. The squire immediately declared he would commission a ship in Bristol, the finest vessel money could buy, the Hispaniola. He would hire a crew, and we would hunt for this treasure together. In Bristol, the squire was charmed by a one-legged innkeeper, a man of surprising charisma named Long John Silver, who he hired as the ship's cook. Silver helped the squire find the rest of the crew, a rough-looking bunch, but supposedly able seamen. I, Jim Hawkins, was to be the cabin boy. The voyage began with fair winds and high spirits. I admired Long John Silver, who was always ready with a friendly word or a fascinating story of the sea. His parrot, Captain Flint, would screech, "Pieces of 8!" from his shoulder. But one night, seeking an apple from a barrel on deck, I overheard a chilling conversation. It was Silver, speaking in hushed, venomous tones to other members of the crew. They were not loyal sailors. They were the former crew of the infamous pirate Captain Flint. And once the treasure was found, they planned to mutiny and kill us all. My heart pounded in my chest. I revealed the plot to Dr. Livesey, the squire, and the stoic Captain Smollett. Their faces grew grim. We were outnumbered, trapped on a ship with cutthroats. Our only hope was to play along, to wait for our chance. When the island finally appeared on the horizon, a jagged green peak rising from the turquoise sea, the pirates could barely contain their greed. Captain Smollett allowed a dozen of them, including Silver, to go ashore, giving us a precious opportunity to form a plan. Seizing a moment of chaos, I snuck into one of the shore-bound boats. On the island, the air was thick and heavy, filled with strange bird calls. I witnessed Silver murder a sailor who refused to join the mutiny. Terrified, I fled deep into the woods. It was there, in the eerie twilight of the dense trees, that I met a wild-looking man, his skin tanned dark by the sun and his clothes nothing but tattered rags of sailcloth. He was Ben Gunn, a sailor marooned on this island for 3 long years. While I was gone, Captain Smollett and the others had abandoned the Hispaniola and taken refuge in an old, abandoned stockade on the island. I managed to rejoin them, bringing news of Ben Gunn. The pirates, furious at finding the ship deserted, soon launched a full-scale assault on our wooden fort. The air filled with the roar of muskets and the splintering of wood. It was a desperate, terrifying battle for survival, a fight for our lives against overwhelming odds. That night, under the cover of darkness, a daring plan formed in my mind. I took Ben Gunn's small homemade coracle, a tiny unstable boat, and paddled out to the Hispaniola, which was anchored with only 2 pirate sentries aboard. My goal was simple and reckless, to cut the ship's anchor rope and set her adrift, depriving the pirates of their only means of escape. The current was strong, and the tiny boat was tossed by the waves, but my resolve was like iron. I succeeded, but the drifting ship carried me with it. I managed to climb aboard, only to find the 2 pirates, Israel Hands and his companion, had fought and wounded each other. I confronted Hans, who, despite his injuries, was cunning and deadly. He chased me up the rigging, a dagger clenched in his teeth. As he threw the knife, pinning my shoulder to the mast, my pistols fired. Israel Hans plunged into the sea below, and the Hispaniola, now my prize, was mine to command. After beaching the ship in a hidden cove, I made my way back to the stockade, only to walk straight into a trap. The fort was now occupied by Long John Silver and his remaining 5 pirates. I was their prisoner. Silver, however, was in a precarious position himself. His crew was on the verge of deposing him for his failures. He offered me a deal, my life in exchange for my testimony that he had saved me. It was a devil's bargain, a moral crossroads in the heart of danger. The next morning, with me as their hostage, the pirates set off to find the treasure, using my copy of the map. They followed the directions to the base of a giant tree, their shovels hitting the dirt with feverish excitement. But what they unearthed was not a chest of gold, but a deep, empty hole. The treasure was gone. As the pirates stood there, stunned and enraged, a volley of musket fire erupted from the trees. Dr. Livesey, Ben Gunn, and the others had found the treasure weeks ago, thanks to Ben, and moved it to his cave. They had arrived just in time to save me. The remaining pirates scattered, their mutiny broken forever. We loaded the immense treasure onto the Hispaniola and finally set sail for home, leaving the last of the pirates marooned on the island. Long John Silver, in a final act of cunning, managed to escape at a port along the way with a small sack of coins. I never saw him again, but I would never forget the adventure, the terror, and the treasure of that fateful island.